What's up, guys? It's Matt here with Tanks Lawn Maintenance. It is Friday afternoon. It is a beautiful Friday afternoon. Beautiful bluebird day. Oh man, hope you all are doing well. Hope y'all have had a good week, and I want to say Happy New Year to all of you. Just want to hop on here and talk to y'all for a minute about something. My wife and I, we learned a valuable lesson in our business this week. We had a huge cleanup that we did Monday and Tuesday. I actually carried over a little bit into Wednesday. It was a 5-acre property, and the only reason it took so long is because it rained majority of the morning on Wednesday, and Monday, and majority of the morning on Tuesday, and we had to come back and get some debris up on Wednesday. But so all in all, it took about 9.5 hours. It was a 5-acre piece of property, and it was just me and my wife. She had the BR700 blower, and I had the PB9010 blower. And when I say it was a large cleanup, this thing was a mess, man. I mean, the guy told me it hadn't been cleaned up in about 6 years. He's just an old elderly man. He's got some health issues, and it's just him by himself. But so it was a lot of debris, a whole lot. And like I said, it took 9.5 hours to do. I hate that it took 3 days, but that's just the way it was with the rain. But anyway, the lesson we learned is it was sometime at the beginning of November. I was actually servicing the property next to his. I have him as a year-round customer, and he drove over there while I was doing some work at the neighbor's property, and he asked me if I could come by and give him a quote, and just leave the quote on a business card in the door jamb. And so I did. He told me what the property line was, and he told me what he wanted done, and so I went by and gave him a quote. Well, knew right off the bat it was going to be a long job, and I really did not want to do it, but I figured, whatever. It's a chance to make some good money. Don't really have a whole lot going on, so why not? That's the thing about this business. You can't be lazy. You got to be willing to go out there and get it. But he called me about 2 weeks later and asked me if that was the best that he could do, or the best that I could do on the price. And I told him unfortunately it was, because it was just so much leaves and debris piled up everywhere. So he was fine with it, and we moved forward, and I told him that I could do the job on January 2nd. That was my first free available day, and so that's what we did. Well, got done with the cleanup, and told him I was coming back to get the piles of debris that I had stacked up, just a bunch of limbs and sticks, and I think there was 1 or 2 pine trees that I'd cut up for him in his yard. And he texted me and said, well, what about this part on such and such part of my property? And I was like, wait a minute. And I went back and looked at the video. The part of the property that he was talking about was something that I had no idea that it was even part of his property, and he did not mention to me that it was part of his property. That was not within the boundaries that he had told me. So I told him, I said, Mr. Such and Such, that part of the property was not included in the quote. And he said, but you gave me a quote for my property. And I said, I gave you a quote for the boundary lines that you told me. And we went back forth a few times. He wasn't happy, and guys, this was a lot of leaves. I mean, it was a lot of leaves and pine straw and a lot of sticks and pine cones, and there's a few fallen down trees and a bunch of limbs. And my wife and I worked our butts off for, it actually wound up being 11 hours. That we worked our tails off for 11 hours. And this was the biggest cleanup job that I have ever done so far. And now granted, I've only been doing this for a year, but this was the biggest job that I've done so far. And he got upset, and he wasn't happy with the job, and which caused me to be offended, because we worked our tails off on this job, and I knew that we had done a good job, and it wasn't going to take much to make this property look better than what it already did, because it was just a mess to begin with. But this job was in immaculate condition when we got done. This property was. Well, finally, I just got tired of going back and forth with him. I said, Mr. Such and Such, this is the price. This is the amount that you owe us. I actually went over 2 hours of the said time that I said I was going to take. And I'm not charging you that, because that was my fault. I'm going to eat those 2 hours. Now, you can either pay that price, or we're going to have a problem. And he said something else, and I told him, I said, look, I said, I will be glad to come back and give you a quote on that extra property, which probably would have took 4 more hours to do, because it was actually worse than the rest of the property. It was actually in the middle of the woods. And he said, you know what, fine. Well, I got my money, got the check, went back, picked up the rest of the debris, and hauled it off. Well, the lesson that I learned is, and I'm sharing this with you because I want you to learn from my mistake as well. Do not, under any circumstances, give any person a quote or an estimate at a certain property unless that person is with you and walks the property with you to show you exactly what they want done. Now, this could have very easily escalated into something that it didn't need to. Now, granted, this was a high-paying job, and I fully understand that this man wanted everything done, but at the same time, this man did not tell me about this part of the property. And I'd already gone over 2 hours, which was, was my fault, not his. And but I was not fixing to give this man 6 extra hours, because it would have took us about 4 hours to do that other part that he was talking about. I was not fixing to give him 6 extra hours for the price that I gave him. And so, long story short, make sure that the homeowner or property owner is at the property before you give a estimate. Make sure you go into detail, that you know the boundaries that they want covered. And it doesn't matter if it's a leaf cleanup, whether it be a spring or fall cleanup. Doesn't matter if it's a bush job, tree job, or if it's just for lawn care. Make sure the homeowner is there. And I'm thankful that we got our money, but more importantly, I learned a lesson, and this will stick with me for the rest of my career in lawn care. But that's all I got for you guys today. Man, I hope y'all kill it out there. And I hope y'all had a good week, and I hope the next week is just as good for y'all. But anyway, I'll be back on here sooner or later with another video. And till then, man, like I always say, keep cutting that grass, keep making that money. Holler at y'all. Bye.